One day in September, my husband leaned out of the door of the house and yelled to me, "We're at war." And I said, "We are?" He had just seen the Twin Towers fall on TV. And so I said, "With whom?" Well, he didn't know, and the people on the television didn't know. In fact, nobody seemed to know what was going on, and there was a kind of national panic because we were faced for the first time with large-scale terrorism. President Bush thought the solution to what we should do is start a war. John Ashcroft, his Attorney General, thought that we should deal with national security and tighten it up. Now, with fear being the motivator, it can be used as something for repression. And I feel that the Patriot Act, which was enacted soon after that, had a great deal of potential repression in it and stifling of individuality and privacy. However, that was one of the reasons I wrote this piece, because it's the only patriotic song I've ever written in my life. It's not that I'm not a patriot, but I think our country is beautiful, I think the people are nice, but what's really important to me about the country are the sort of philosophical values that we seem to share and that are in our founding documents. And I felt that those were very much in danger. They were probably more in danger than the land was or that the individual people were, because in the face of fear, people will give up all kinds of freedoms. So that was why I wrote this short anthem and threw it over to the group to either do some variation on it or to do something completely different. And soon we had 5 people doing 7 sections, and in this recent revision we have 2 more people who joined us. So you get all kinds of musical styles, but all sort of focused on the same concept of what this large consequences of 9/11 were to us all.
America, be wise in time of war. Rush not forth in fear, nor close your eyes. Heed your own heart's call. Don't trade the freedoms once held dear, though the towers fall.
America, be wise in time of war. Rush not forth in fear, nor close your eyes. Heed your own heart's call. Don't trade the freedoms once held dear,
My piece enters in two places in this larger piece. It's both the second entrance and the eighth entrance. And in the first entrance, the melody is 9 beats to a measure. And then in the second entrance, it's the same melody, but just increased to 11 beats to a measure, and then 9 and 11 play together simultaneously. So that's basically the structure of my piece. And one of the reasons I wrote it was because of my morning of 9/11, 2001. I was accompanying in the Upper West Side a dance class of 2- and 3-year-olds. It was what's called a Mommy and Me class. And after the first class, the director told me that the first tower had been crashed into. So at that point, I thought some kind of terrible accident. I guess that's what we thought. And we started to do the second class, and then the director came in pretty soon after we started and said something like, the same thing happened to the second tower. I think she was trying to be very calm. And she asked the parents if they wanted to continue the class or not. And the parents all said yes. So somehow we managed to get to the end of the class. And the dance teacher always ended by blowing bubbles, you know, like those bubbles that you have a little mixture in. And the kids really enjoyed jumping up and catching the bubbles and breaking them. And it was always a very joyous, happy moment. And so she ended the class that way again. And all I could think as I was playing for this was, you know, playing piano, and the parents are like, everybody's in shock. I'm thinking, like, these kids are so joyous and innocent and 2 years old, and they're jumping happily, and they don't know what's really going on out there. And the contrast between them being so joyous and innocent and this horrible thing that had happened was really with me when I wrote my piece.
Okay, so we live in the middle of the whole thing, being right up on Spring Street. We saw all of 9/11 from our roof and lived with the air afterwards, and also with the politics afterwards. And so it was extremely personal for me and my wife, and just going through all this, and the loft of the Gamelan is part of it too. Okay, so just to be. I felt that I wanted to work with Barbara's wonderful melody and also with maybe the solemn mood, but I had a little trouble right from the beginning with her text, "America be brave in time of war." because it seemed this was Bush's war and it was giving away a little bit too much to, you know, sort of generalized patriotism just to say we're in time of war. We were in Bush's war, and I never want to forget that. And that was even before Iraq. But beyond that, I did want to work with the melody and the beautiful way it's laid out. So I made two variations. One is kind of strident, featuring the high range of the clarinet, and you might call it defiant or whatever. You could give it a name on that scale. And the second one, which turned out to be the very end of the movement, was a kind of resigned, soulful hymn, like with the same melody, with the clarinet then very much in the lower register and the violin above instead of the other way around.